this is Chris Cars. This morning I'm going to show you the basic things that you can check on an MOT. It'd be a lot easier for me to say what doesn't come in an MOT because nearly everything comes in an MOT now. But I'll just run through some of the things I can think of that you can look at before you take your car into the garage for an MOT test. Right, so there's so many things. So I won't go through. It's obvious that all the lights have got to work in here. All the lights, indicators, all that's got to work. Reverse lights, fog lights. There are some on older cars you don't have to have reverse lights working. Brake pedal rubbers. There's just so much. Horn. And obviously you mustn't have any. You mustn't have any lights on the dash. ABS, airbag light, engine management light will most likely fail. Right, so you've got to make sure all the lights are out. The seat belts. That's one thing you've got to look at.
There's a new regulation, you said.
I think it's changed slightly, I believe. Yes, it has. So you've got to look for damage. You're allowed a cut and a slight bit of damage to a seat belt. You've got to so I plug it in and pull the stalk and pull the seat belt to its full, to its maximum. Right. So you're allowed a 2mm cut. Everything is in the tester's manual, but you're allowed you're allowed a cut on the edge of the seat belt at 2mm. All right, and if there's a cut, you're allowed a 4mm cut in the seat belt if it's away from the edge. So anywhere in here, you're allowed a 4mm cut. All right, there's so many things. So we can check that, check all that. I said most of it, I think, in there. I mean, this is quite a new car, quite a good car, so there probably won't be too much wrong. Then we'll go mirrors or another thing. Okay, they've got to be intact and not broken. Although you are allowed a break, you are allowed a crack. Some of it is on the discretion of the MOT tester.
Oh, so it depends, does it? If you have a nasty or a nice MOT tester?
It does depend a bit. So there is a fine line between some of this stuff. I'll try and explain a bit as we go through.
So how long were you an MOT tester, Chris?
Quite a while, 20 years or so.
Oh, so you've done a few MOTs in your time?
I have done a few MOTs, yes.
Were you a nice or a nasty MOT tester, Chris?
I was nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because I just go by, I'm not trying...
Did you work with some people that were nasty?
I've met some nasty ones.
Oh.
Because I wasn't looking for the work, right? It was always so busy. So I would like to pass the car if I could. And if you just go by the manual, then there's not a problem. That's what I used to do. I wasn't looking to get cars in to try and get more money out of the customer. I just wanted to get it done and out the door because there was 10 more coming in behind.
So the purpose of this is we'll just run through
just the basics that I can think of as I'm looking here now.
To save a customer's money.
Yeah.
Before you take it down, just the basics to do.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So you've got a brake fluid in the reservoir, between maximum and minimum ideally. The wiper blades have got to be. We'll just go around. Sorry, just go. Right, the wiper blades have got to be intact. Just run your fingers along the bottom of the blade. You're allowed little splits on the end, little tiny splits. We always used to pass some little splits on the ends. The headlamps have got to be secure. There is just so much. Battery's got to be secure. But there are, yes, it's just, there are, I forgot again. Never mind, yes. You have to say the battery's got to be secure, won't you?
Yeah.
Right, so the battery's got to be secure. Right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be bolted in like this, but there is criteria in the manual for the battery being secure. And many other things, all right?
So it mustn't sort of wobble about?
It mustn't be able to fall out. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to just quickly look at the manual. I can't remember. I can't. I'm sorry, not this morning. I've forgotten. But if I see a battery insecure, then I'll quickly look at the manual and just see what it said. Right, so obviously you can do this with a jack. You can jack it at home underneath a jacking point and just check this yourself. You grab the wheel and just try and move it like this, look, and top and bottom, and see if you've got any free play. But you are allowed some free play. You're allowed free play in the in the bottom ball joints, the top and bottom ball joints are allowed free play, and there's slight free play in the track rod ends. So it's the MOT manual says excessive free play. So it's what they determine as excessive. So like I said,
the bearings are on the way out.
It could be the wheel bearing, or it can be top and bottom ball joints, inner wishbone bushes. There are several things that can be given free play, but either you have an assistant doing this, and then somebody's underneath. I'll be underneath checking it, or you put it on the shaker plates. Put it on have a later type MOT bay, and then shaker plates that do it for you, and you just inspect while the machine does it all. But just because it's got free play doesn't mean to say it fails. It just means, well, you need to have a better look at it. You need to inspect it better, but you are allowed some movement. I need to turn the wheel now, which means switching ignition on. Right. So you're allowed some slight damage to the walls of the tires. You've got to check the valve, make sure the valve's secure, make sure you've got the 4 wheel nuts on there. There's just so much, as I keep saying. Right, so we'll look at the tire. All right, so all tires have got things called tread bars on them, and they're around the whole circumference of the tire. So that is basically 1.6 mil. It touches that tread bar. So that the legal limit of the tire is 1.6 mil. So providing it's over the tread bars, it should pass. Right, and the center 3/4 of the tire has to be 1.6 millimeters. All right, so that at the outside can be bold as long as there's no canvas or cord showing. That still passes. So you just got to look and make sure that all the tread bars. Well, it's obviously a very good tire. All right, I just need my light as well, so I'll go and get mine. So yeah, if the coil spring's broken anywhere, that's a failure. And normally you get the end of the coil spring, top or the bottom, that breaks off. So that would have to be replaced. Leaking shock absorbers, you're allowed a slight leak, but if the shock absorber is saturated in oil, that's a definite failure. Again, that's down to the tester's discretion. And it's splitting the steering rack boot would fail, and splits in these ball joint rubbers, and these fail if these are split. An anti-roll bar rubber is split. Track rod ends rubber is split. All this should fail the MOT because it's allows the ingress of that, which I don't completely agree with. I'll just show you what I would do.
But you could still check that yourself by getting on the ground.
Yeah, you can jack it up and check it yourself. And what you can do, I don't know if I should put that on here or not, I'll just show you. Because I don't necessarily agree with all of these things. If you end up taking off a perfectly good arm, I wish I could show you on a car that actually had it. Right, so assume that this one's got a split in it, which very often happens. Right, you end up taking off a genuine arm, which is probably 200 quid or whatever it is, replace it with some aftermarket piece of rubbish, and it will last 1 or 2 years. You're far better to keep the original arm and do something with a rubber boot.
Oh, I see. A garage will just replace that because it's quicker for them to do, is it?
Yeah, they would replace it. Yes, they would. You can buy some garages will put the rubber boots on. You can buy these. You can buy these on eBay, probably Amazon. But it's not the easiest thing to replace. They don't fit very well sometimes. But it does say putting a whole new arm on. Right. Alternatively, I haven't got black. You can get. There's nothing in the manual. Right. There's nothing in the manual to say that you can't put sort of concealer around the boot. Whether or not I should be saying this, I don't know. Right. So if you've got a big split, there's nothing to say you can't. You want black silicone concealer, same as the rubber, but I haven't got black on me. But there's nothing to say that you can't do this and go all the way around where the split is. Right? But obviously you've got to get the other side of depending on where the split is, you've got to get the other side of the boot. But there's nothing to stop you from, because then it won't allow the ingress of dirt, so it can't fail. There's no split because you've covered it up.
Oh, so that's a top tip.
Well, I just think it's worth doing. Because so many, when I had the garage, there's so many, people would supply their own arms, these aftermarket cheap arms, and we'd be replacing them again the next MOT. The ball joint would be worn out in 12 months. Where the genuine arm would probably last 5 years. It's just simply that the boot's got a little split in it.
Oh, simple as that.
So that's what I would do. Get black silicone concealer and put it around. Right, like I said, there's so many things. I'll wipe that off in a minute. Right, so we're back on You've got to inspect the wheels. Alloy wheels crack. It's very common on like BMWs. Well, many alloy wheels crack. So you just got to just rotate the wheel and check that check there's no cracks in the wheel. All right, if you want to.
So
Right.
it's likely with all the potholes that there
Yeah.
are cracks in wheels.
And if there's too much God Almighty.
Were you at the disco last night?
I don't know what I was doing. I didn't sleep very well, but I'm a complete dope this morning. Absolute bloody dope. I forgot what it's called.
Were you thinking of the disco last night?
I don't know what I was thinking about. Nothing exciting.
Was it? What sort of dreams were you having?
About moving house.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's not very exciting at all. Right, what's it called? The bloody God Almighty scans. Fucking useless. You know, like the rotation of the wheel. Hang on.
Either the trueness or the concentricity. If it's concentric.
No, that's not it either, I don't think. Try look at you don't want to be filming me looking up on here, do you? Right then. So we check the wheel, like I said, for cracks. Right? And because of the amount of potholes you get in the roads, when you spin the wheel, you get like an unevenness, because obviously you smack the pothole and it's no longer round. Right, so it does say in the manual, it says that it does say in the manual a wheel that's badly distorted or wear between the wheel and the hub. Right, so meaning badly distorted means it's been bashed and it's not round anymore.
Concentric, like I said.
Yes, concentric. But you're allowed an amount. It's what is determined as badly distorted. You know, that's down to the MOT tester again, because nearly, I don't know, half the wheels that I used to do were distorted. So you've got to. If it was like this when you spun the wheel, then I would fail it. But if it's just got a little defect in it, then I would leave it.
Would you say that was partly because we live in the country and that's what's going to happen to your wheels rather than the city? Or
I think it's everywhere. There's so many potholes wherever you go. And alloy wheels, some of them are like chocolate, and they don't last. They're just not very strong. And morning, Mr. Monkman. You all right? Yeah. And yes, there you are. Right, there are no brake pads we ought to look at.
Yeah, good.
Anti-mobile links, free play in the upper and lower ball joints. If they have excessive free play, that fails. But they've often got a little bit of free play in them. When you grab on the anti-mobile and just pull it up and down, a little bit of movement passes. You hear it in the car, it makes a noise, but it still passes the MOT. All right? I think that's... It brakes now, I would think. I have to turn the wheel around and let it down a bit. I should have mentioned possibly about the TPMS light, because people think that when the TPMS light is on the dash, that's a failure, but it's not. In the manual, it says that if a TPS,
which is what?
Tire pressure monitoring system light. So if tire pressure light warning light's on,
that's the annoying yellow light.
It is. It's on most cars. That's not a failure, right? In the manual, it says that it's only a failure if the tire pressure monitoring system is malfunctioning or obviously not working. That doesn't mean when the light's on because the tire's got low pressure. It means
if because you've got a couple of psi less, it's not a failure.
No, it brings the light on. That's not a failure, right? Right. So we'll go to brakes without a light. Give me strength. Oh, there. Right then. So you can often inspect the brake pads because there's quite a lot of room often in between the spokes of the wheel, and you can see that brake pad's probably got 6 or 7 mil of material left on it. So it's under 1.5 mil is a failure. All right. And the brake disc, people change the brake disc because they've got corrosion on them. Sometimes you get an edge of corrosion all the way around the brake disc. That doesn't fail the MOT. I've seen loads of people bring cars in, say, I've replaced the pads and discs. They've shown me their old ones. and they've got 50% left on the brake pads. So I just said there was no real need for you to change the distant pads because they were all right. Because they thought because it had a corrosion mark all around the outside, that was a failure, but it's not. Okay, right. So flexible brake hoses. You going to go there and I go. Right, you got to check the flexible brake. No, you may not. Sorry, Scouts. You may not be there. Oh, you are there.
Yep.
Right, check. You got to check the flexible brake hoses. Excessively deteriorated is what they cause fails. I think that's right. Corrosion to the ferrules, but again, you're allowed some corrosion warning and some deterioration of the brake holes. All right. Again, it's a bit distracted. It's a bit of the MOT tester's discretion again. But this is obviously like quite a new car, and it's all like new. I wish I haven't got a brake hose that's deteriorated, but
I remember on the old ones you would get just hairline cracks everywhere.
yeah, you get perishing. You load some perishing. If it's perishing, you can see the cords is a definite failure. But in really rusty ferrules fail. But a lot of the ferrules have got rust on them, and they pass. So I always pass them. And then the brake pipe, you allowed some corrosion to the brake pipe, but again, it says excessive corrosion in the manual. So again, that's a bit tester's discretion.
So
right.
Basically, if there's a tiny bit of surface stuff, it's okay. But if it's starting to all sort of come apart,
well, there is criteria for measuring the brake pipes. Yes, there is. I really need to show you some corroded ones, which I might get at some stage. But you are allowed some corrosion. We did discuss wheel bearings a bit. All right, bloody stupid. Right then, so another thing. So you just, oh yeah. So you, like I said, we were grabbing the wheels earlier on. So you do this. You grab hold of the wheel to see if there's any free play in the wheel bearing. Excessive free play fails. A small amount of free play doesn't. You spin the wheel by hand. And don't catch your fingers in the trim of the car because that really hurts and rips all the skin off. I've done it. So spin the wheel and listen for any noise. And so a small bit of noise is okay. A major, just see what it says in the manual. It says excessive play in the manual. So it depends. Excessive play is likely to break up or directional control impaired. So it's got to be it's got to be very worn to fail, according to that, if it's got free play. And then, right, so if a wheel bearing's got, if noisy, it says excessively rough, likely to collapse, right? So a little bit of that they make, a little bit of noises should pass the MOT.
So is that what for the MOT, or was that some of the girls that you went to the disco? Excessively noisy could collapse.
I wish, I wish, but that unfortunately that never happened. No.
You always went for a classier girl.
Yes, I thought I did. Right, where are we? Back to the car.
Back to the car.
Hang on, I don't want to just go because it's what you can see, what they can do, isn't it? Right, okay. Right, so some of the items under the car we won't be able to do because you've probably got a trolley jack at home. So things like exhaust security come into the MOT, but you're allowed some of the mountings not to be on the system. It has to be quite insecure to fail. Obviously, there's issues with corrosion and that sort of thing that you probably won't be able to see. Fuel pipes and brake pipes, front to rear, they have to be secure and not excessively corroded. Like I said, some of these things you won't be able to do at home. And then basically, the rear is the same as the front practically. Well, with the brakes still 1.5 millimeters, and the discs, shock absorbers, bushes, free play in bushes, broken springs, free play and anti-roll bar links, and the anti-roll bar link rubbers, the rubber boots around the bushes and joints if it's got them. This hasn't actually got any ball joints. This has just got rubber bushes on the back. Morning, Sam. Yes, so that is the majority of the things underneath, or some of the things underneath.
So it's also, you could say, just sort of obvious stuff that the MOT tester would just go, oh my gosh, that could fail.
Yeah, there's so many things. All these, like all these bushes and everything. They're all. It's all part of the MOT. There are so many rear subframes. That's quite common. Thinking about it. But sorry, yeah, corrosion of rear subframes. That's very often on advisories on an MOT. But they have to be excessively corroded to fail. Surface corrosion doesn't fail. Surface corrosion on suspension arms doesn't fail. All right. So like I said, it is tester's discretion. So you want to go to an MOT station that somebody recommends, is my opinion, because there are some ruthless ones around that try and get what they can. But
so they'll fail it and then want the work.
yeah, if they're not busy, okay. Right, so number plates must be in reasonable condition. As the manual says, it mustn't be obscured, excessively damaged, or deteriorated, or delaminated. There are loads of things to number plates. Anything that can, you must pay particular attention to the fixings of the bolts, because sometimes the screw heads can make the numbers look different. Mustn't be honeycomb. There's several things that you need to look at for a number plate. And only one number plate light has to work. So if you've got two number plate lights and one is rusted away or doesn't work, that's not a reason to fail the MOT. All right, one has to work. That's about it. There's loads of stuff for number plates on here, like there is. The manual's full of conditions. It's
Is it because now everyone either just buys them on eBay or then tries to cover them up so they don't get caught with the speed cameras?
There's lots of issues around around number plates. That's right, there is. It's something quite new's come out now, I think, where.
And would you know any tricks so people don't get stopped by speed camera?
I do know, but I can't I can't tell it all here, can I? I'm sure a lot of people are aware of what's available to purchase now.
Are they called ghost plates, aren't they?
I think they might be.
And so you can go yes. And you shouldn't buy them off
eBay,
should you?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yes, very naughty if you buy them.
Yeah, it could save you an awful lot.
Yes, it could do, I should think. Not that I ever speed on the motorway or anything. I'm strictly 70 miles an hour all the way. But if you were to go 74 miles an hour or 76 miles an hour, they might help, mightn't they?
They might. Excellent.
Well, sorry, yes. I can't go through every single thing because there's too much, and it looks like I've forgotten half of it anyway. But this is just a basic look of some of the things that you can do at home if you want to, and one or two things that might save you a pound or two perhaps on the way.
Can you buy ghost number plates from Chris Carr's eBay account?
I'll be setting up that shortly. Right. So body panels is part of the MOT, insecure body panels. And there's loads of cars that have got bumpers that are not secure and on the edges because people reversed the car back and dented them and the corner pops out and damaged the front wings and so on and so forth. Right, so the manual says, right, damaged or corroded and likely to cause injury when grazed or contacted. Right, so if the bumper was just pushed out, and you walk past, we wouldn't. I would personally wouldn't fail that. But if you had a skirt on or something, which I haven't, but if you did have a skirt on, that'll be what day is it? That'll be tomorrow. I put
Sunday,
that on. Yes, yeah. Right. So if you could catch it with a skirt, then I would consider failing it. If it's badly damaged, but just little things that are poking out and minor bits of damage that you walk past and you don't catch anything in, I wouldn't consider that personally as a failure.
So if you're taking out your first girlfriend again, Chris, 17, she had a mini skirt, it would be an MOT failure if she caught her skirt on your Ford Capri, would she?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would have been a failure. I'm sure. Yes.
What car did you have to take her out to the disco?
I had a Mini, unfortunately. Fiesta Mark 1s. I had loads of cars. Aston Mark II GTE, Fiesta Super Sport, Fiesta Sport, standard Fiestas. Yeah, that would be Mark One, all Mark Ones. That would have been.
Did you have a different girl for every car?
I didn't, unfortunately. I had a lot more cars than I had girlfriends. This is just a basic guide to an MOT. Just go around the car and have a look at things, obvious things that are gonna fail, like the body condition, mirrors hanging off, because it's 54, 55 pounds now an MOT. So if you can go around and do some of the jobs yourself, you could save yourself a few pounds, couldn't you?